mindful moment from Laura Lenz. And this takes about, the whole process is about 4 minutes. It's just audio. So if you want to turn off your camera while you're practicing these exercises, that's great. You can also use this with your kids at home, you know, give it a try at home. You can, I can have Lisa send out the slides so that you have the link to the calming practice. And it's a good exercise for all of us. So I'm going to start this, and then I'm going to mute my camera as well so that we can freely practice this moment of mindfulness.
Hi everyone, this is Laura, and this is a practice for calming down when our nervous systems are really activated. And this could be a great way to start a meeting or a class of students as well. So you can get in a comfortable position. You can be sitting or standing, and notice your feet on the ground, your hands in your lap. Maybe do a little shoulder roll to relax the shoulders. And I have 2 techniques we'll use for this practice, and this is taken from the work of meditation teacher Matthew Hepburn. So the first practice is called straw breathing. So you're going to inhale through your nose, and then as you exhale, you're going to purse your lips, almost as if you're blowing bubbles out of a straw. And you'll make the exhale nice and long and slow as you push all the air out of that straw. So I'll just give you some time to try that now. You can inhale and exhale. Slowly, pursed lips, pushing all the air out slowly. And try it again. Inhale through the nose and slowly push the air out. This practice is helpful for regulating the nervous system, getting more oxygen into our brain and body. I'll let you do it for a few moments on your own pace. The second practice is intentional calming. And on the inhale, you will think the phrase, breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I calm my body. In, I calm my body. Out, I calm my body. You can also say, in, I calm my mind. Out, I calm my mind. In, I calm my mind. Out, I calm my mind. And we can finish this practice with thanking ourselves for taking the time for some grounding before whatever we're going to do next. It helps us to bring a settled nervous system and a settled body and mind to whatever task may be ahead of us. Thanks for practicing, and I hope you have a great day.
Okay, thank you for taking those few minutes to start our meeting in a calming and grounding way. Laura's amazing. She does great work through Rochester Public Schools. So we'll continue to have those moments to practice throughout the rest of the family engagement meetings this year. Next, I also wanted to just take a brief look at some data. This is parents as change agents. And this goes back to some of kind of the nature of the world and the chaos. And when I struggle with chaos, I really like to look at research, and that's what helps bring me back to things that are important and things that are we have some control over. And this report I'm sharing demonstrates really how parents align in perceptions within schools. And we're going to look at just 3 different data points. And this is from a report called Learning Heroes. And Lisa will send this out after the end of today as well. It's about a 20-page research document, but I just pulled a couple graphics from here for us to talk about. And the first one is skills that are valued, that parents value and teachers value for a successful future for students. And what was interesting on this to me is we can see that parents are really valuing mental health, which explains a lot of why we're addressing a lot of those issues within the school district right now. And then reading, listening skills, strong relationships, and math. Teachers have, I would say, in some ways, perseverance and mental health connect. But what's interesting is teachers have a different perspective on the top 5 values needed for a successful future for students. But what I would like you to do just quickly on a sheet of paper, we're not going to share this ranking, although you're welcome to share it in the chat if you'd like. But I want you to look at the parent side and rank your own top 5. So looking at these as a parent, if you're a parent, if you're not a parent, and if you're a community member, or if you are a staff member, on the parent side, where do you feel like you value a successful future? So if you could just on a sheet of paper, 1 to 5 on the parent side. Does anyone want to share some of what their thinking was on this and some of what their order was? Okay. Totally fine if people want to sit in quiet. I myself had actually as a parent had strong relationships ranked first, followed by mental health, and then listening skills, and then reading and math, which is really, even when I was thinking about this yesterday, I didn't rank them for my own kiddos. And it's interesting to me that those other kind of those social emotional are I value more than some of the other pieces. Although I recognize reading and math are important, my own personal view of mental health and strong relationships are important as well. Okay, so next I just wanted to share perceptions of success, society versus personal. So when this question was asked, and this was asked of about 3,000 parents across the United States, what do you most associate with success as society defines it? Wealth was the top ranked idea that parents felt society values. And that does not surprise me, along with like status, achievement, power. But what's interesting is if you look at this same question from the lens of the personal, how do you most associate with success? Personal happiness, peace of mind, fulfillment. So it's it's a much different view than what we believe society wants us to define, how society wants us to define success. So again, society's success is the wealth status, but personally where we are emotionally connected is personal happiness and peace of mind. So those are just a couple slides from a PDF that Lisa will send out with the minutes. And like I said, it's a long document, but it's very much worth the read. And it gives you, I think, parents and staff something to hold on to in terms of where we're probably more aligned than we think. So today is actually going to be a lot of me talking. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to just address the chat. I have to look at a different computer for the chat. So Amy said strong relationships, mental health, listening, reading, and math. So we were right aligned, Amy. And same with Leah, Brenda, and Brian. So we tended to align on the social emotional, or value the social emotional above some of the academics. And I don't have any answers, or I'm not trying to you know, like shift the nature of the world, but I just wanted to offer some data that we could look at to help activate some of the work that we do. So updates, today is going to be a lot of updates and resources because there have been so many changes with distance learning. We have some COVID updates, some food updates. So it's going to be, you're going to get a lot of information today. And feel free to stop me and ask questions, because these slides are, I hate putting a lot of words on slides, but there are a lot of words on these slides just so that I ensure that I'm giving accurate information based on the materials that were provided for things like distance learning. So the very first thing I want to talk about is distance learning updates. I'm sure many of you or all of you have seen that we're currently bringing back activities like sporting activities and that sort of thing. They can start practicing again. There's still critical care happening at John Adams, and Hawthorne has started to do GED testing, and we're also starting some of the 21st century programs at the secondary schools as well. That's some of the extra pieces that happen within the school district. But in terms of parents and where parents might more be interested is the shift in the shift in the elementary hybrid teacher planning, that sort of thing. So right now, elementary grades 2 through pre-K, so pre-K through 2, are going to begin the hybrid model January 19th through the 29th. And this will go, they will follow their previous schedule. So group 1 will be Monday, Tuesday. Group 2 will be Thursday, Friday, with Wednesday as a prep day and a distance learning day for teachers to connect to students. Throughout the month of January, 3 through 5 will remain in distance learning. Our newcomers, our elementary intensive special education and our elementary right fit will return to their 4-day-a-week model. And then secondary education right now is going to stay as is. January 25th, we also have some other programs that are starting. These are, again, our special education intensive, or Project Search is a work program that's intensive and that sort of thing. Along with these new changes, we'll continue to offer mitigation strategies, cleaning, all that sort of thing for that are required under the governor's announcement for in-person learning. February 1st through the 12th, we're going to add grades 3 through 5 to the hybrid learning model. So students will do the group 1 on Monday, Tuesday, 2 on Thursday, Friday, with Wednesday as the distance learning day. And then pre-K and K2 will continue the hybrid with no changes again to the secondary schedule. Then on February 2nd, the school board is going to meet to reassess the nature of cases, and they will decide at that point if there are going to be adjustments to the learning model. February 15th, there's no school. So that's a professional development day for staff. If you have concerns about these models, there are opportunities to share your concerns with the school board this Thursday, January 14th from 6 to 7 p.m. So it'll be a virtual listening session. As I said, I'm going to send these slides out after the session today so that you have a chance to have access to these links and have an opportunity to share your thoughts and feedback. Are there any questions on the learning model to start?
Hey, Melissa, can I just say something quick?
Of course.
Okay, so I just want to say, I know there's a lot of feelings and about the learning model, but I just really want to give a shout out to our school board, who has taken so much of their own time to really think through, all of the possibilities, to look at data. I know that these decisions aren't easy, and there's, like I said, a lot of thoughts and feelings about it, but I really, really appreciate you guys. I appreciate your time, and I hope that you're getting enough of that the positive, because I know the negative is very visible right now. So thank you for your work, your time, your commitment, your dedication to students, to staff, and to families. I thank you so much.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel grateful to the school board. It's not a position that I would ever have any interest in. And it's because of what Lita's talking about right now. I just don't have a thick enough skin to take some of the criticism that they're faced with right now during a really complicated time, and trying to make the best decision that they're able to under the circumstances. So thank you for that, Rita. Anything else? Anyone else? Thank you, Jean. Okay, next I want to talk a little bit about availability of COVID guidance. So Rochester's, the RHCP, Rochester Healthy Community Partnership, puts out weekly COVID reminders in multiple languages. And I just want to show you what one of these reports looks like. Oops. So that you have an idea about potentially what information is out there to share with families. So if you click on the link that, again, the COVID-19 link that will be in the slides, and click English, you get a report on the current situation. This is as of July 20th until now, about the number of cases in Olmsted County, the number of cases in Minnesota, and in the United States. Additionally, there's information on how to stop the spread of COVID-19, and then questions that are coming up throughout the community and that public health is working to address. So this changes from week to week and is worth your time to take a few minutes and read. And the fact that it's available in multiple languages is as well is pretty awesome. I say that because my partner in crime, Julie Ruzick, and I have been on multiple diversity council town halls, and for families who are not English speaking, there have been some kind of misinformation out there, that like if you have O blood type, you're immune to COVID. We know some of those things are not true, but so we want to make sure that it's shared widely, this information. If you have any questions about any of that, I can help you navigate the site or address it further or help spread the word. Any questions about this resource? Okay.
Melissa, real quick, is this something that's on the district's website?
So I'm not sure if there's a link to the RHCP specifically. The district has its own COVID website with links. But what we are doing, there will be a video put out, I think, later this week, an outward-facing YouTube video that addresses some of the COVID pieces, and that will go out in multiple languages as well. So it's not there yet, but we're working on it. And okay, so Julie says it's not there yet. I think it will be added.
I'm just thinking kind of from individual school perspectives. I could see, is this something that we add to like our Facebook page or our school blog? That's kind of what where I'm headed, but I'm not sure as a district if that's where we're headed as well.
So I think we're trying to get as much information. I'm sorry, I can't see. Lucy's hand is raised too. I think we're trying to get as much information out there as possible, Lindy. So okay. I don't think to share this in a blog would be great. Like I said, there are going to be some outward facing YouTube channels in multiple languages for families. Like if you have a Somali family who is unable to read Somali, this isn't a super effective way to get that communication out there. So there will be some like literal videos that you can link as well. But I think you're perfectly fine to share this. I'm going to go out on a limb. So Julie's not ready to go out on that limb. She says we'll talk with our COVID coordinators and communications, Lindy. But it's a pretty good resource. So I think we're probably fine. Okay. Lucy, did you have something?
Well, I was on the same page, I guess. I was going to say, I have the PTA meeting tonight at sunset, so I was going to share that because I find information doesn't get shared that much. So. Yeah,
well, it's out there. It's posted. This was shared with me through Leah Bancroft, who's one of our school nurses. So it's being shared in that way.
Melissa, it's Julie. Yeah, I think it's free to share, and I think Leah would want us to share it.
Yeah.
I was simply saying in terms of how we're posting it and how we'll communicate it district wide, we'll check on that. But if individuals want to share it out, I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that clarification, Julie. Julie, would you also text Jen Clampy? She can't hear me. Okay. We're going to move on a little bit. So, and in addition to that public health resource, Minnesota has started a refugee hotline. The refugee hotline is available in multiple languages. Again, this is primarily to support things like COVID testing, COVID contact tracing, food support, mental health, and that sort of thing. So if you have a family that sits on your PTA or that you work with, who are working with immigration, this information will be available after the meeting as well. Moving on to another resource. RPS continues with its meal kits and to distribute prepared meal kits. The pictures have been posted on Facebook quite a bit, and there's a lot of awesome food and information. Not food, but a lot of awesome pictures that demonstrates what's in each meal kit. Meal kits are seven meals or 7 days worth of meals, eligible for 1 to 18-year-olds, regardless of whether it's a free and reduced price lunch student. Everyone can receive these. Every student age 18 and under can receive one of these. Do not need to be an RPS enrolled student. So if, like, for example, you're on you're a Stewartville kid and can't get to the Stewartville meals, but are able to access, get to Grand Marina, this is one way you can get some food. They're ready to eat and heat and serve kind of meals, and there's lots of good stuff in there. Don't have to provide paperwork. You just drive up, identify how many kits you need based on the students that are in your household, and you receive a meal kit. The really super exciting thing, and we're gonna give Julie Ruzick a big pat on the back. She was one of the people who really was working toward an evening distribution. So there are now both daytime meal kit distribution dates and times, and evening meal kit distribution dates and times. The evening distribution is from 3:30 to 5:30, and then the daytime is from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And those are all taking place at Graham Fairgrounds Building number 35. Are there any questions about that?
I don't have any questions, but I've definitely gone through the line before, and it works really well. Sometimes there are a number of cars in line, which is to be expected, but it's a very efficient process.
Yeah. If you experienced it the first day and were discouraged, or the first or second day, I would encourage you to go back. Student Nutrition Services quickly adapted, and it's a really efficient process now, and you can be through the line fairly quickly.
I will add, a lot of times I go through the line for families who do not have transportation, do not have access to transportation. And I think that's just one of those things as a group here to keep in mind. How many of our families really struggle with just getting to and from places. It is a reality for a lot of families. So just kind of putting that out there to keep on everybody's mind that even though it's free and accessible, it's not always accessible to every family.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Lindy, this is Julie Ruzek.
Yeah.
I know this message has gone out through administration, but I just wanted to alert everyone on this call that district staff are able to circumvent the line at Graham Park and pick up meals to deliver directly to families if transportation is a barrier.
and that pickup is at Mayo High School. So if you or anyone on this call would want to go and pick up and deliver, that's another option. And a lot of schools sites are finding success with that. Let Melissa or me know, and we can help you with that process as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for people on the call who don't work at the schools, I will say, you know, there are a lot of school employees, myself included, who, as I talk about that, that's exactly what I mean. You know, we're going there and picking up those meals to deliver those to families. So I do think, Julie, it's working. So thank you for figuring out that little cheat for school staff so we can access those.
Oh, Lindy, we lost you there. You went to mute. And go ahead. I'm sorry, were you all set? Okay. Yeah, if that's what you choose to do, just make sure to let us know so we can make sure those meal kits are ready at Mayo. If you want to add some to your delivery process, if you're a staff member. What I would say outward to the rest of the community as well is there's so much food available right now. Please, please, please don't go hungry, and don't let your neighbor go hungry. There are resources, really good resources, and people willing to help. It breaks my heart, and I say that because yesterday there was a high school kiddo that we are working with who was essentially saying we don't have access to food, and right now we can really do our best to make that work. Yes, Leah, you still contact the same person at Mayo if you're heading there for pickups. Any other questions about this piece? Okay. Next, I wanted to talk about some of the mental health supports and resources that are available right now. We, this month's virtual discussion and presentation for families that our mental wellness team is organizing is navigating the stress of distance learning, which we are all experiencing right now. And I just posted the dates on here that of these that are happening after January 13th. There have been multiple presentations already made at schools. You don't have to be a member or a parent at one of these schools. If you don't see your school, you can join one of these other meetings. You just have to reach out to ask for the link information. Many of them are on Zoom and Google, and they're being hosted by multiple different schools. So if you're struggling to navigate the stress of distance learning, there are lots of visual presentations. One great thing that we heard as leaders yesterday was talking about how the spectrum of mental wellness and mental illness. Like if you think of mental wellness on a spectrum and illness on one end and wellness on the other, stress is certainly pushing some of us more toward the middle of that continuum. Does not necessarily mean that, like, for example, your student is struggling with mental illness, but there are lots of resources to help you understand and navigate that process. So that these meetings are one that is available to you. The next resource that I wanted to share is if you are worried about your students' mental wellness and trying to understand if it's just stress or if it's something more, there are some great resources. I'm going to click here and get to Rochester Public Schools emotional and mental well-being teams. And on this is available right now on the website. You can see we have all kinds of resources: chemical health specialists, mental health, school-based therapists, counselors, social workers, and resiliency specialists. In addition, it walks you through some of how you can identify if it's a mental health or mental illness, and it often comes down to frequency, intensity, and duration. So there are also some screening tools, scheduling with a mental health professional, and other kind of FAQs available on this site. One other thing that I wanted to point out to everyone, because we've been walking through the site on our Diversity Council Town Halls meeting, is I don't know if you know it, but there is a Translate website at the very bottom of every page of RPS. So if you click this button, you can see the site is available in multiple, well, it's not showing. So down here, let me see, at the very bottom, do you guys see the Translate website link? Below, like the 4 symbols, Facebook.
On the left side.
Yeah, Twitter, YouTube, Peach Jar. This Dropbox, Translate Dropbox, there are probably 40 languages available, or not, if not more. I would say way more. I was an English major, not a math major. Maybe there's 75, maybe there's 20. I don't know. I can't tell. But the Translate website will translate the entire site into the languages that your families might be needing or speaking. Additionally, here are the connections to your school teams on the right-hand side of the page. Were there any questions about that? Okay, we are getting a lot of families who are asking about access and resources for mental health. So if you're a staff member on this call and you have the opportunity to share, might be a good thing to include in your blog or share widely to families. This is all I had, so that went really fast, and I didn't imagine that it would go that fast, but like, I am here to talk. Do you guys want to have any questions about anything that we covered? Anything you want to share today?
I think this is Maddie, a social worker at Jefferson. I just want to put it out there as we're talking about mental health for staff, just a reminder for that employee assistance program. I've been reminding my staff of that recently because I was able to take advantage of that recently, and we're just super, super lucky that the district supports us in that way, especially this year. So yeah, just a reminder for that too.
And I believe that's 3 free sessions, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can call the employee assistance line, and it's an external support. So you're not going to be speaking to a staff member from Rochester Public Schools. It's completely confidential. It's a wonderful resource, the employee assistance line, and it's available on our internal 535 Skynet page as well. Other questions? Julie Ruzick, do you have anything else you want to share?
I think you got it all. Really, I think especially right now, maybe this isn't the place to ask your question, but knowing the resources and places where you can reach out to have questions answered through our school board, our listening sessions, your site, your leadership, your social workers. I think the biggest thing to share today is that there are a lot of people out here who want to connect and want to help.
Thanks, Julie. Go ahead, Lindy.
I think, Melissa, thanks for bringing up the district's emotional and mental well-being page. I will shout out there to all the people who aren't district employees. That is something that all of the school social workers, all the school counselors, I'm not sure if there's any MHPs or the other members of that team on this call, but we are all part of that. And one of the things that we do very frequently is kind of families, we share with them that website page, that web page, that information about all those resources. And then often serve as just kind of a person to listen through any questions they might have. For a lot of us, it's right there and it seems super easy to navigate and understand. But for families who are kind of in the middle of it and aren't sure, what's next? I would just throw out there that those initial calls with members of your school's emotional and mental well-being team are oftentimes a really good first step, especially if you find yourself kind of wanting to see what step you should take, but not sure, but not being able to take that first step.
Thank you, Lindy. Okay.
Melissa, this is
Yeah.
Julie. This is Julie again. Something else I just thought of for parents new to high school. Something that's come up in the last week is registering for high school classes. So there's information that has come out from all of the high schools in regards to how this can be done. And I know a lot of them are holding some virtual sessions when they used to have in-person sessions. So just make sure, I just wanted to make sure that people were aware that that is happening right now as well.
Yeah, thank you for that, Julie. I no longer have a high schooler, so I don't get those same updates anymore. So that's awesome. I can make sure that I include information on that that we send out with the minutes and the notes as well.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Amy Baker also included a link in the chat of parent coaching session, Birth to 3. And so take a look at that link before you close out your meeting. Otherwise you'll lose it because the chat does not stay with the meeting. Okay, one word today, in one word.
Hey, Melissa.
Yeah.
I think I didn't type it correctly, but it's birth to 3rd grade.
Got it.
We can provide parenting coaching sessions, and many of the elementary social workers have started sending people my way. And a lot of times the parents just need to be heard and process and kind of have a sense of like, is this crazy or am I on track? Am I not? Am I normal? And yes, they are usually very normal. They just need to hear that. So that's something that the Early Childhood Family Ed Department offers birth to 3rd grade.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I might have read it. I apologize. I said birth to 3, birth to 3rd grade. Thank you so much, Amy. That's great information. Any final? Molly Dennis.
All right, thank you. I had a question. It's kind of a question from my heart here. I'm really concerned about the digital divide and people who struggle with accessing things with technology. And of course, that has to do with a lot of like barriers like economics and maybe language barriers and all these other things people are facing. And I was late to the meeting because I thought I had RSVP'd, but I didn't. It popped up on my calendar. So I'm like, oh, I'm coming in. And then I couldn't get a link. And I have a college degree. So I mean, it was really struggling for me to get on this meeting. And I appreciate, thank you, Julie, for getting me on. But I feel, I know when I work with students on, they mute because they're swearing in the background of their homes, and people have a hard time accessing. And when we talk about resources and getting people resources they need during these really challenging times, I guess, is there a hub or someplace that's not, or someplace that I don't, it's not really formulate a question, but I'm really worried about people. Like I had a neighbor who ended his life, and I have a friend who died because of issues of not because of COVID, but alcoholism and things. And so you have these people really struggling to stay above water, and if they're struggling with technology to even access resources online. I know there's a phone, 211 and different resources out there, but does the school district or is there any way of reaching out to people who may not have Wi-Fi or may not be able to access resources, because I feel like a lot of these things are based off of websites or clicks that we have to do on computers, and those who don't have those options, I think, are going to be really hurting as the weather probably will get colder and harder.
Sure. Thank you for that question, Molly. And I can come from the lens of the school district. So this isn't speaking necessary to the adult piece of it that you mentioned. But within the school district, you're always going to be able to call, like physically call in to the school and ask for support and connect to your school social worker. So that 100% is always an option. That addresses the clicks. It doesn't necessarily address the digital divide. Currently, we're providing internet service to about 300 families in Rochester through either a combination of hotspots or physically supporting charter connection, that sort of thing. So if we're aware that there's internet not in the home, we're working with those families. If we're not aware, that's a whole different piece that, how do you find someone that you don't know about? So that's a trickier challenge. But we are providing support for just under 300 families with things like access to Wi-Fi. And
Molly, sorry, this is Julie again. I would also add that we are part of the citywide consortium that has been meeting ever since the pandemic started to address resources and to route families and community members through the hotline that the library is supporting. So, I think it's important to note that we're doing a lot of we're trying to do a lot of supportive things for our students and families in district, but we're also working in concert with the entire community to support everyone, kids and adults. And much of that is through phone numbers. So I hear what you're saying about the technology divide, and I am not going to debate that with you. I agree. But I think we're also using other resources and not only just phone numbers, but human resources. A lot of our staff have been visiting porches and physically connecting with people during this time. So I think that's a piece of this as well.
And I would just like to mention too, for our students experiencing homelessness and that sort of thing, we've been providing disposable phones so that we can get them, so that because we recognize that that's a big issue, and that helps us connect to them and connect them to resources. So there are those pieces that are happening as well. But Molly, do you have an additional question?
I did, and I appreciate that. I have 3 kids, 3 schools, so I know how it's kind of balancing, and teachers have come to my house and helped. But I think maybe too something to look at is to normalize mental health, which I think is so vitally important with the trauma that's being caused by the pandemic and how it's going to ripple through epigenetic generations. How we need to deal with that healing right now. But the neurodiversity, I think, of people is really causing a lot of the issues. Most of the people I've talked to who call me up who are struggling, coworkers, paras, people who are struggling. A lot of them are on the spectrum of different things. And so an idea maybe like I've been really open with my ADHD when I got diagnosed in my adulthood to say, it's hard to process. Sometimes it's hard to you don't want to sit in front of the screen. But I just maybe reaching out to doctors or beyond when people get diagnosed with I have friends who are on the autism spectrum and on different spectrums. And I think they're the ones, the parents and the children are the ones at the highest risk of really experiencing extreme detriment due to the pandemic, because of the isolation and loneliness, it affects people differently. And of course we live in our bubbles, we think this is how we process the world, because that's the only way we process it through our lives. But I'm just speaking from someone who has experienced it. I go to the library for my kids and myself with our ADHD and support groups and things, but reaching out to support groups, reaching out to the hospitals, reaching out to people like any kind of all over with the counselors around town as well, to make sure that everyone's equipped with this, not just like saying, hey, here's a resource, but like pushing that resource, because people with ego or whatever you want to say, like as a mother, I never ask for help. I'm always like, oh, I can do it. I'm not going to burden someone else who has problems with my problems. And so we have a lot of people who do that too, who will not reach out, will not go to any of these resources without being almost instructed or by a physician or someone to do so. So it's just another option. I don't mean to take up a lot of time, but I'm really concerned with people who have called me and told me about problems and struggles, abuse, spousal abuse, things at home that they're not talking about to anybody else, that affects the children in the district and just our society. So an idea, I think resources are wonderful to have, but to really almost dictate people to use them or reach out in a different way, because I feel a lot of people in our society are going to have COVID is going to last for longer, and then the trauma will affect, I think, many years from now. So anyway, but thank you for your resources. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Molly. And I appreciate that as well. Was there anyone else? I can't see like everyone on the chat, so I don't know if a hand is raised or. Okay, and
Can I mention one thing?
yeah, of course.
So this is kind of in connection to Molly's first question. One thing that we've done at Riverside that I think just to address the how we've met the digital divide, or at least attempted to try to close that gap at least a little bit, is through our attendance team. So obviously, as Julie had mentioned, we do go to kids' houses. We do do home visits and meet families and things like that. But so I think our frontline teachers are really our first line of defense. Like they're the people who know if a child is struggling to connect with school. And if they are, then they connect with our attendance team. Sometimes we'll just notice a pattern or a trend of a student not attending. And so that's one way at the school level that we have gotten to be able to connect kids with things, the hotspots and internet that Melissa had mentioned. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we are definitely highly focused on that, because we know that that's how kids need to connect with their peers right now and academically. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thanks, Lita. Maggie, you have your hand up?
Melissa, I'm just wondering, will you share your presentation as a link later?
Yes.
You had a lot of good information in there that I'm sure some of us will be referring to later.
Yeah, I will send the presentation after the meeting. Lisa Bleeker will send it out with the minutes.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, if there's nothing else, one word in the chat today I learned, and today something you learned that wasn't expected. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe I shared nothing of value. Resources. Thank you, Carrie. Translate button. Connection. Good. Awesome. Okay, with that, thank you so much for joining. Next month, I think the meeting is February 10th, and there may be a replacement because February 9th or 10th, because I turned 50. Woohoo! And I'm taking the day off. So have a great rest of your day.